Saturday night, I got the pleasure of sitting at the Hermanson table for the state party, and Marty won an award, and Brenda won an award, Andy won an award. I think I was the only person at the table who didn't win an award. And Marty looked at me as if to say, "Where's your award?" And I looked at Marty before he could say it. I said, "My award comes November 2nd. That's when I get my award." Very quickly, I'm running for Congressional District 1. I'm actually running against Ann Kirkpatrick. I know that the majority of the people here are District 7 with Raul Grijalva is your congressman. I'm sorry. Just when I thought mine was bad. You guys actually won up to me there. What you can do, and if you like what you hear tonight, you can't vote for me, but you can support me. And I was telling Andy this Saturday night. I said, even though your congressman is someone that you don't like, that you don't support, and here's hoping that this gentleman right here actually knocks Raul out of this as a chair, gives it back to you guys. If by supporting me, even if Raul does win, you can say, well, we've got a voice. And he's over there in District 1. And maybe the line ends for him at Casa Grande. But the line doesn't end at Casa Grande. The line extends throughout the whole country. People from California who have a very liberal congressman or congresswoman can actually can't vote for me, but by supporting me when I'm in Washington, they will know that that's a guy who sees things the way I see them. So even though my congresswoman or congressman isn't looking out for my best interests, that guy is, even though he's not even in my state. I'm an Arizona native. I have had to work for everything I've ever earned in my life. I have had jobs ranging from washing dishes and working in an open pit mine to becoming a junior high school and high school teacher and becoming a practicing attorney. We all watched, or at least if you could stomach, the State of the Union address last night. One of the things that bothered me that resonated was when he said that they will repay the college loans. And if you do government service, they're just gone in 20 years. That's absurd. Because that's the taxpayer who ends up having to pay for those school loans. And the last time I checked, when I went to law school, I don't think I was in your living room, sir, asking you if you would go ahead and pay for that. And it's wrong to force the American people to foot the bill for other people to go to college. That's an individual decision. It's a choice that's made by the individual, and it's a choice that's paid by the individual, not by the taxpayer. I have spent the majority of my adult life studying, teaching, and defending the United States Constitution. I used to teach junior high school and high school. I taught civics. I actually had to go in front of the school board because I was the teacher who taught government that actually taught the kids that you were endowed by your Creator with certain unalienable rights. And they said, you can't say by your Creator. And I said, why not? It's written right there. It's pretty important. They put it in the document. It's pretty important today. And they said, well, don't do it again. And so I did it again just to see what would happen. And I ended up in the principal's office. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm a teacher. Why am I in this? And I ended up getting into a little struggle. And I said, look, I'm not teaching religion. I'm teaching a document. It's not my fault that the Founding Fathers, in their wisdom, decided to bring God into almost every aspect of the government. It's a very important, and it was the right thing to do. If you go to Washington, D.C., and you go through all the monuments, there are theological sayings and references in every single building in Washington, D.C. Go stand in front of the Supreme Court. Anybody stood in front of the Supreme Court and looked at the doors? You know what's there? It's the Ten Commandments. And they're the ones who say we have to have separation of church and state. And that's the problem with government. That's the problem when government gets run by people and it gets interpreted by 9 other individuals over the course of 200 years. When I went to law school, I wanted to learn more about the Constitution. But when I took constitutional law, you learn how the Constitution has been manipulated and perverted over 200 years, depending on whatever way the wind blew with whatever particular administration was in office. And the case in point is your freedom of religion. Everybody knows the saying, we have a separation of church and state. That's what they use to keep God out of a school. That's what they use to keep you from being able to say a prayer in school. The problem is that was not the intent of the Founding Fathers. This separation of church and state, that freedom of religion, had nothing to do with whether we want God taught in our school. It had everything to do with we do not want the United States to create a Church of England over here and force us to attend. The Constitution is a limiting document. It doesn't tell the federal government what they can do. It tells the federal government where the line is drawn and what they can't do. That's its role. That's why the powers in the Constitution are not given to the federal government. I've had 4 state legislators that have told me, when you get to Washington, you need to propose an amendment to the Constitution. And I just sit there. And one of these people told me that she didn't think I had enough experience to understand how government works and to be able to work in the House of Representatives, and then said, but when you get there, you need to pass an amendment. There's a problem with that. You don't need me to do it. And so I had to explain to this woman, if you read Article 5 of the Constitution, the states are the ones who actually amend the Constitution. 2/3 of the states propose the amendment, 3/4 of them ratify it, and no president, no senator, no congressman, and no Supreme Court justice can say otherwise. That was the intent of the Founding Fathers, was that when a government gets too large and becomes oppressive, they wanted it in there that the states retain power. If you want to simply change it, you can change it. The 17th Amendment is the worst amendment in the Constitution. It's horrible. It's the reason we have a healthcare debate today. And I'll end on this. The 17th Amendment provides that U.S. senators are elected by the people. That's why Mr. Simcox is here. He needs your vote. Before 1913, you didn't elect the U.S. Senate. Your people in your state legislature elected your senators. Because the senator's job is to look out for the state as an entity, as a whole, not the people in the state. That's going to be my job. That's why emotions and passion run high in the House of Representatives. If you ever want to run for something, run for the House. That's right where that needed to be. It's not in the Senate. The Senate is very stately, very reserved, because they're looking out for the states. The reason why I said we wouldn't have a health care debate if we didn't have the 17th Amendment is because health care harms the states. When they cut $500 billion out of Medicare and Medicaid, that expense gets passed on to the state. The state has to make that up. Now you're on the state legislature and it comes to the floor and you elect the United States Senator. Do you think John Kyle and John McCain would be voting yes for that, knowing their state legislatures don't want it? The answer is no, because they know that they'd be voted out of office their next term. If it was still that way, the health care bill would have failed 100-0 in the United States Senate. We wouldn't have needed Scott Brown to ride in and save the day and be that 41st vote. It would have been unnecessary. It would have been voted down. But because the 17th Amendment allows the people to elect the senators, they look out for the people. And now you're looking out for individuals who would benefit under it. When they outweigh the individuals who don't, you get it. And that is the problem. The states willingly gave up their representation in the federal government when they ratified the 17th Amendment. And all it takes is 2/3 of the state legislatures to propose an amendment to strike that language out of the 17th Amendment, and 3/4 of them to ratify it. And you don't have a lot of things. You won't have cap and trade. You won't have the health care bill. You won't have card check. You won't have amnesty. All the things that have brought the Tea Parties out, that got us involved in politics again, will not happen by simply changing that one thing. It's all that has to happen. We can change everything if our states will get the job done. I have to go. They're telling me we've got another speaker coming on. I'm going to be here all night because, as Sean knows, I don't leave until the last person leaves. So if you want to stop and talk to me, if you have questions, I'll answer them. If you want to throw something at me, I'll be out front. Whatever you want to do, I'm here to listen to what you have to say, because that's your job when you're in Congress. Your job in Congress is not to just forget about the people. Your job in Congress is to represent the people, and you can't do it unless you're willing to sit and listen to what the people have to say and what their beliefs are and how you can better represent them. Thank you very much.